Good Queen Bess is coming to Lincoln. Elizabeth I, in her own words, is Wednesday, May 20th, 7:30 p.m., taking place at Westbrook Music Building at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. It'll be presented by the International Quilt Museum and the Glencore School of Music, One of England's most beloved rulers is brought to life by playwright and UNL Emerita Professor of History, Carol Levin, who is played by Tamara Mengazzini. And there will be also live guitar accompaniment from Rick Pruitt, and we will talk about all of the details here. Welcome to Friday Live, Carol.
Thank you so much. I'm delighted to be here.
And I will tell listeners, you are wearing a beautiful, sparkly pendant here right in front there, so you're dressed to please with the Queen right there.
I love Queen Elizabeth, and I wanted to be dressed appropriately to celebrate her.
So, in her own words, caught my ear. She's been gone for a while, right? So how?
Yes.
How? In what way is this in her own words?
I will say Elizabeth I will always be alive to me, but I've been working on this with Tamara for a long time, and I wanted something that was really dramatic, but also really accurate and presented Elizabeth. So I used letters that she wrote, letters people wrote to her own speeches, contemporary descriptions of her, because it was really important that people really get to know both Elizabeth the Queen and Elizabeth the woman. And though there have been many wonderful plays and films about her, I really wanted something that was also historically accurate about her. And this has been a joy to work on. My actor, Tamara, is brilliant. She's an equity actor. And we've loved working together. And every time I see the show, I'm just so moved by it.
Talk about the research that went into this project. Was there anything that really surprised you that you came across?
It was really fun to do the research, but I should just add, I do research about Queen Elizabeth all the time. If I may say, as a child, I'm not shy now, but as a child, I was very shy. And so the high point of my week, my mom would take me to the public library. And while I read fairy tales, I also was very interested in the biography shelf. And when I was maybe 10 years old, I read a kid biography of Queen Elizabeth, and it was like a light bulb going off in my head. This is an amazing, wonderful woman. I want to know more about her. So you could say my life's work started that early. So I have been researching and thinking about Elizabeth, publishing books about her for many years, and it was such a joy to also then be able to create her in such a different way. And yes, there is certainly, the more you read both by her and about her, I think the more complex she is, but also there are moments of such vulnerability, too. And Elizabeth had to be incredibly careful. Her mother, Anne Boleyn, Henry VIII's second wife, was executed on trumped-up charges of adultery with 5 men, including her own brother, before Elizabeth was even 3 years old. As she herself asked at that time, "Why was I Princess Elizabeth yesterday, and today I am only Lady Elizabeth?" Her father declared her a bastard and that it was treason to talk about a claim to the throne. Well, he changed his mind toward the end of his reign and had an act of succession that gave the throne first to his son Edward, then to Elizabeth's older sister Mary. Both of them died without heirs to Elizabeth. She had to be so careful all the time because a slip-up could mean a terrible thing for her. So I found that fascinating, how careful she was, but also these moments of expressed vulnerability were really fascinating to me.
It's hard to imagine living that life and putting yourself in those shoes. So I wonder if that's part of why it's interesting to make this into a stage performance.
It's wonderful to do it. And one of the things I feel like is I think Elizabeth was amazing in her own time, but she's amazing today. This was a woman who became Queen of England when she was only 25 years old, this was a time when women didn't rule. Her older sister Mary had been the first queen on the throne and had almost immediately and tragically married Philip of Spain. And Elizabeth not only ruled successfully for close to 45 years, she never married. She ruled alone. And I think, as I say, for that time and for today, to see a woman be able to do that is a wonderful, wonderful statement. And so I'm really hoping that a lot of people come to the play, but I especially hope that young women come to the play and get to see this portrayal of this incredible woman.
Well, so we should talk a little logistics here. There's music accompaniment to this. How does that add to the story?
It absolutely adds. And one of the things that Elizabeth loved was theater, and she really loved the plays of Shakespeare. And I think Shakespeare was certainly influenced by having this strong, powerful woman on the throne of England. And so we have Elizabeth. It's a one-woman show, but we have Elizabeth, when it becomes appropriate to what she's talking about, often quote from Shakespeare. And Rick, who's this amazing musician and composer, then he's playing softly, but when the Shakespeare comes on, he plays in a more direct way to kind of hint of the importance of it. And I just want to talk a little bit more about the connection between Elizabeth and Shakespeare, and to say that this show is put on at this time in conjunction with the exhibit Crown and Stage at the International Quilt Museum, which I was a co-curator for, and I had the idea. And I wanted an exhibit that was not only on Queens, but Queens and Shakespeare, because I think they connect so beautifully together. And to have the exhibit where we have them connected, and then have the play where we have them connected, is really exciting.
You've got the International Quilt Museum, the School of Music and History, all of these arts tied in together here. You know, I think we could wrap up with, it's not very often that women of the past get to tell their stories, especially in their own words. What makes this important to do?
I think it's incredibly important, and one of my specialties has been women's history. I also do political and cultural history, but I think more and more we need to find women's own words, let women speak for themselves. And obviously with Elizabeth, I had so many sources as a queen, but we could find sources of women from all different statuses and acts and parts of life, and to give them their own words is not only a gift to them, but I think strongly a gift to us as well.
I just thought of one last question for you, Carol, which is the costuming for Tamara Mengazzini.
The costume is utterly amazing. It's so beautiful. She had it made especially. And this is a teaser, but if you come to the play, you'll see how important her costume is to what is going on about Elizabeth as well.
That's a good teaser. Well, I've been speaking here with the playwright of this production, Carol Levin, about Elizabeth I in her own words. That's taking place Wednesday, May 20th at 7:30 p.m. at the Westbrook Music Building on UNL's City Campus in Lincoln. It is a free event open to the public, and it coordinates with that exhibit at the International Quilt Museum called Crown and Stage. So you've got a couple of ways to interact there with Elizabeth I. As always, there is more on the Friday Live page. You can link to everything that you need to know at nebraskapublicmedia.org. Carol, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
It was so much my pleasure. Thank you.